There's a house at the end of Black Hollow Road that no one speaks about. Not in whispers, not in stories, not even in warning. It sits there as if time itself has chosen to abandon it, its wooden frame curling in on itself like a dying animal. The townsfolk don't look at it. They cross the street when they pass, and children are warned never to stray too close. But no one ever says why. David wasn't from town. A writer with a taste for the morbid, he arrived in search of the strange and the unexplained. He had read about Black Hollow Road online, where stories of the forsaken house had been reduced to little more than local legend. No deaths were recorded there, no missing persons reports, no official reason why the town ignored it. That, more than anything, piqued his curiosity. Ignoring the silent protests of the townspeople, he rented a small cottage a few miles away and spent his nights watching the house from a distance. It wasn't abandoned, not exactly. The windows were black as tar, yet he often caught glimpses of movement inside, shifts in shadow, a flicker of motion just beyond perception. At first, he convinced himself it was an illusion of the wind, an old house settling into its bones. But then the whispers started. It began subtly, barely audible like the murmur of leaves in the breeze. But as the days passed, the voices grew bolder. He couldn't make out the words, only the intent, a needling insistence that slithered into his mind. He recorded the sounds at night, playing them back at dawn, hoping to decipher them. The playback revealed something worse. The whispers weren't coming from the house. They were coming from inside his own home. David's fascination turned to dread. The whispering grew louder, now creeping into his waking hours. He could feel them, not just as sounds, but as presences, brushing against his skin like breath on the back of his neck. Objects moved when he wasn't looking. His notebooks were filled with words he didn't remember writing, their jagged scrawl barely recognizable as his own. One night, something new happened. The whispers stopped. In their place came a single, distant knock at his front door. David froze. The knock came again, insistent, though soft. The porch light barely reached beyond the doorway, casting long, trembling shadows. With a shaking breath, he stepped closer, pressing his eye to the peephole. Nothing. But the moment he turned away, the door creaked open behind him. He spun, heart hammering. The door gaped, exposing the night beyond. Cold air slithered in, carrying with it the scent of something rotten, something long dead. His trembling hand pushed the door shut and locked it. Then, from just behind him, a voice, clear, distinct, and filled with quiet hunger. "We remember you." David never saw who spoke. He never even had the chance to turn around. The next morning, the house at the end of Black Hollow Road looked no different than it had for decades, its rotting frame standing in perpetual silence. But David's cottage, it was empty. His car remained in the driveway, his belongings untouched. His laptop sat open on the desk, the screen frozen on a single document filled with the same sentence over and over. "We never forget, we never forgive, we never let go." David was gone. The town never spoke of him again.